So I'm talking on business transformation, opportunity and challenges. Some of us who've been doing this, I don't think there is an opportunity, it's only challenges. Like the opportunity part is the stage talk, and then you come in and said, what the hell am I signing up for? And that's really, it's each, I think the very part of it, and when I was thinking of the whole thing, and I am going to go through a couple of things. Before that, the colors, that's co-pilot. So I got no say in this, but these days I kind of found a different pastime. In some of the boring meetings, I ask co-pilot to generate some random images. It's pretty fun, try it. At least your boring meetings will become more interesting. And there are quite a lot of them for all of us. I just thought, we need to have a perspective of what enterprises are thinking today. And a lot of what I'm saying today is not new to us. It's just a reiteration of what we have been doing. And a lot of this is going on here. Like, you start right from here. You have the rising customer expectations. The whole, irrespective of our industry segment, notice that we are moving towards deep consumerization. Irrespective of the nature of our industry. It's something that's very interesting when you look at it in terms of the expectations. If this can be done there, why can't I get the same experience in this? So no longer is the paradigm of business is separate, personalization is separate. Whatever it is business for and through personalization. We're getting there, and we're getting there always. I come from a healthcare industry, and I've been asked this question a zillion times. When you go to a hotel and you're checking out, your bill is available in a matter of a few seconds. When you go to a hospital and a discharge is notified, your bill comes out in a few hours. A few hours is decent. 8 hours? Why? And nobody wants to listen to excuses. Nobody wants to listen to excuses. We're like, look, guys, you know your stuff. If it can happen there, why can't it happen here? As simple and straightforward. I know, the excuses we can give are plenty. And it's probably unfair for me to even call it excuses. This is where the reality lies in terms of looking at the business. Looking at the business from the perspective of what is it that the end consumer wants versus what is it that we as technology or we as business enablers or we as business drivers are finding complexity in it. I think that part of complexity is the very first challenge that we need to bring to business transformation, because that complexity is known only to us. Think about, and a couple of days back I was seeing this thing on the Concorde, the aircraft Concorde that was the star in the early 1990s, And what happened there was very simple. Fantastic piece of engineering. Marvelous piece of engineering. But what it was known for was the class of service. Nobody thought of the engineering. Look at any of our flights today. Oh, we complain more. Flights are not on time. What is it that we complain on? Not the engineering. We complain on the service, the experience. That's not meeting our expectation for the money we are paying. And we think it's our right to have that. I talk to all of us, we'll all agree that it's our right. I talk to the CIO of an airline company, he'll say, what the hell are you talking, man? Do you know how complex it is to get all this done? I got to get all these things going. Perspectives. but the perspective is actually managed by the consumer and by the longevity of that service. And businesses today need to start thinking in terms of the longevity of their service, because when the longevity is not maintained, that's really when your TPR ratings start going down. And when that goes down, getting back that confidence that this is something that can work is a very serious concern. And that's really how you look at it. And then you start looking at a connected platforms, and then the new aspect, and Sanjay was mentioning this about COVID. What happened with COVID? And I come from the healthcare, I'm very biased towards healthcare. Obviously, I spent 25 years there, so I better be biased, otherwise something is wrong with me. Till COVID, a show of hands on how many of you even knew there was something called telemedicine? Probably somebody would have read it in some journal as some great innovation that is happening in the West. Very fair, nothing wrong with it. We are also like that only. Till that day when some of the valued currency was turned into paper, how many of us knew there was a payment gateway? That night around 8:30, all of us started learning what a payment gateway was, because certain valued currencies started becoming good pieces of paper. That necessity, that crisis, got us to think in terms of the art of possible that can be done through technology, because the physical capacity was not an option. The whole aspect of finding new business models in business transformation is arising out of the fact that we need to do more with less. When you start looking at doing more with less, the whole paradigm of physical vanishes, because it's no longer an option. Physical takes time, physical takes space, physical takes money. And all of this, either we don't have, or we are trying to cut it to 1/3 of what it is. That means it starts bringing the necessity of digital automatically. Businesses start re-looking at how can we look at new models of business, new channels of sale, new aspects by which the consumer can be aligned. And I was reading about the jewelry showrooms who are using AI images to look at what format of jewelry is good enough. I really wish some of the sari shops in T Nagar learned that. Because some of us, not because of the traffic, but some of us accompanying, it takes a lot of time sitting in those shops. If we can have an AI model in the house, you know how good it can be in terms of what it will do to all of us. And now start looking at what a digital enterprise can do. So what am I looking at here? I'm crafting my conversation here for you in terms of first stating a problem statement. What is it that a digital enterprise can do? Redesign business processes. Redesign business processes. Very, very critical, because all of us, what we do is old wine in a new bottle. That's what we do. We started saying, let's do telemedicine, and then people said, can I do WhatsApp calling? For some of us in the healthcare world, WhatsApp video calling is as good as giving somebody a heart attack, because that's not called telemedicine. It's got all the wrong aspects of clinical care in it. You have to start seriously looking at redesigning business processes to suit the new. See, we said we wanted to find a new channel of business. New channel of business, not altered channel of business. This is not about shifting the business. This is about creating a net new. And that's very, very critical for us. An increasing employee productivity productivity in a ubiquitous employee. Productivity. I'm going to speak less about the work from home. We know what we are dealing with. The hype, the reality, the productivity to the outcome. I've got use cases for all the extremes and the medium. And then you start looking at the most important part is delighting the customers and personalizing it. Are you talking to me or are you talking to my cohort? If you're talking to my cohort, it's a 1 in a million. At one point in time in the state of Tamil Nadu, being called Ayarthil Urvan was a great thing. But I don't think that's the best one to be called now when you start thinking of personalization. Nobody wants to be Ayarthil Urvan. Everybody wants to be talk to me directly. I am the center of the universe, and when I'm paying for a service, I am the center of the universe, and the sun rises and sets solely with the purpose of serving me. This is the expectation all of us have. Let's get it straight. And our businesses need to cater for this. That means our businesses have to look at it. Obviously, I had to look intelligent today, so I put something looking a little intelligent. That's all. But then let's understand in terms of how things have changed. Organizations have matured. Then you have e-commerce taking over a major part of it. And all of this, whatever I've written is I just did normal secondary research, nothing big. No, secondary research is a polished way of Google search. Just in case, I just thought I'll use some intelligent words, but it's called Google search, we call it secondary research. And then look at where things are going. Distributed ledger systems. Look at the beauty in which we have the virtual accounts banks are set up. Look at the manner in which the whole fee payment is changing in educational institutes. I'm talking of education institutes that collect money, online channels, not the cash in the bag. No, that conversation we'll have separately, the bar once it opens. So that's kind of how you're looking at it, and this is where you're looking at that whole aspect of between 2019 and current is the realization of the innovation. And notice, I'm being completely agnostic to any industry because all of us are going through the same at different paces, no doubt. We are in different paces of what we're looking at. And this is the nature of our solution. Creating an empowered customer in terms of engagement and the digital ecosystem. And we are influenced by retail, enabled by mobile, and empowered by content. These three are king to catering to our consumer. The consumer is empowered, the consumer understands what he wants. And then it is a digitally networked ecosystem. You are expecting it. You are expecting it to be interoperable. You are expecting it to work anytime, anywhere, any place. And then you are necessarily combating a disruptive future. Cybersecurity, digital literacy, regulations and compliance, collaboration. Digital literacy, what we think we know versus what we actually know. There's a big difference. And catering to that void of knowledge, that is pretty dangerous. It's pretty dangerous. The number of patients who walk into a doctor's office after Googling all the possible diagnoses that are there, they're super intelligent. Or they think they are. And that's digital literacy. And so it is a constraint. This is not a strength. It is necessarily a constraint. This is not a reason to provide an excuse. So there's a difference between opportunity, constraint, and excuses. We got to understand what it is, and we got to call a spade here. And then, what is it that we are actually trying our enterprise to do? Financial excellence, operational excellence, core business excellence, The experience of our consumers, yes, patience, the service efficiency, and the brand expansion. And friends, what you see in the bottom horizontal, and I hope all of you are able to see that, is not a footer for my slide, but this is the digital enabler. This is the cloud, the analytics, the mobility, the social, the cognitive, the IoT, the robotics, and the security. That's the underlying pin. It has become a horizontal. Digital transformation and business transformation is no more an innovation. It has become a horizontal. You do it right in the right context, else your existence is going to be deeply questionable to the attribution of success that any organization has. So there's a difference. I'm not going to say you're going to perish. No, that's not about it. But your growth aspirations are going to be seriously impacted in several manifold. Now what are we trying to do? We're trying to increase our margins. We're trying to increase our revenue. Now when we try to do that, we get into digital initiatives, getting into a new business model. And then you look at it in terms of where you're going to play these levers. Are your levers going to be in terms of revenue? Are your levers going to be in terms of margins? Now these are the economics of how you run an organization. Each has a preference. There's no right and wrong here. And these are, if I may call it, seasonal also. You may want to figure out which way you want to go. And then when you start looking at margins, you look at collaboration, workforce, structural analysis, and all of that. And when you start looking at revenue, you look at your serious backbone. So revenue is about your serious backbone, and margins is about how you start gyrating an organization. And remember, this is where you will have to gyrate the organization between all models of change, because the organization is necessarily changing. And then when you start bringing both, now when you talk to your CFO, you ask him, you want revenue? Yes. You want margin? Yes. This is like going and asking somebody, tell me which is your favorite eye, right eye or left eye. Nobody is going to make that choice. If somebody is making the choice, he needs to go into the psychiatry. That means that you necessarily have to converge these two. And when we are converging these two, this is where the organization's blueprint starts. This is redefining the organization. This is about the opportunity or the constraint, because it really depends on where our organization is. My opportunity could be his constraint. It depends on where I am, and vice versa. And then when you start looking at this, getting into an area where we are completely different, that is a digital disruptor. Now we are talking of a new organization, partners and alliances. This, my friends, is the ecosystem. So what business transformation does is basically opens the horizons to a new ecosystem where the entire digital is reimagined, but it keeps the culture of the organization pristine and graduates the organization between digital initiatives and transformation in a carefully crafted manner. A carefully crafted manner is extremely essential, because you just can't fall down in your own weight. And when we do that, we got to look at leadership transformation. We got to look at omni experience. We got to look at workforce transformation. We got to look at operating model transformation and the information transformation. Don't forget the information transformation. It's no longer the payroll running the MIS in the TVS printers. That is not digital. Digital is not about putting a bunch of TV screens and sending WhatsApp messages and SMSs. Digital is not about posting something on social media. Digital is about actually taking that information and getting insights out of it that is meaningful to the workforce transformation and the operating model transformation. So this really starts becoming your execution blueprint of what a business transformation will take us to. When you do all of this, know your constraints. Know your constraints because you have security and privacy. You got compliance and regulations. Every industry has got its own, and some of us think our industry don't have. Please start reading them. Because those of you who think we don't have IT regulations, IT Act is there. It's just that an elephant can pass through it. That's all. But it is still there. You read it the right way, you will find the regulations. You read it with the intention of bypassing it, the elephant can go through. The cost of service. Is digital making our service expensive or cheaper? And what does the consumer want out of it? Globalization. Geopolitical implications. Are we worried about the wars in Ukraine? Are we worried about what's going on in the Middle East? Are we worried about what's going on in terms of the wars between... We were all worried about the China-Taiwan war. Why? Because we all thought that our laptops are not coming ever again. It starts creating constraints. Start looking at what it is. And then, the most important that we love to forget, or we don't forget, we conveniently forget. Structuring an organization or unstructuring an organization. Why unstructured? Because we all know our organizations are so heavy that it does not cater to the next generation of our business model. This is not faulting what we did so far. This is about realizing where we are and rescaling and realigning and retooling ourselves, and the reality of budgets and investment. We all love to talk about digital transformation. When we go back, we know what the money looks like. Something that we don't want to think of. Let's be real about it. And last but not the least, the perception of result. Digital transformation is not a setup.exe where you press the button and woohoo, the world changes. I wish that can happen. It does not work that way at all. And this, my friends, is a busy slide, but what I want you to focus is the change management, creating that sense of urgency. Incentivize now because you need the workforce. Push the digital resistors, the process resistors, and the business resistors. And this goes in cycles. And then you get to your end state. You got your change readiness, you got your user preparation, and you got the ability to adopt and sustain. Digital transformation is not a trophy where you keep it for one day and admire. This has to become the DNA of the organization. And that, my friends, is the reality of business transformation, the perception of our opportunities and the perception of our constraints. I leave you with the famous quote from the Gitanjali, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments of narrow domestic walls, where the stream of clear reason has not lost its course in the dreary desert sands of dead habit. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Thank you for being a patient audience. Namaste.